Hello everyone, I'm High Treason, and yeah, it looks like the building shifted a little bit. Wow, we actually did get a vehicle spawn, look at that. That's unusual. Oh, shit. Man, should I be standing there, this shit? That's a skirter. Well, skirter, it's not time for me to leave my car yet, so... someday we'll drive you. It's a nice colour. Yeah, maybe we got cleaning supplies in here now. I think maybe it still happens if the building moves far enough away. Yeah, I like one of them brushes. So it tells me I really shouldn't be in here, you know. It doesn't look best safe, does it, this place? Well, that's to worry about some other time. I guess we better get out of here. I'm going to take the free gasoline that it's given me, though, because I mean, well, you can't say no to free gasoline, can you? Yeah, we topped the oil up before we finished, so we should have loads of that. Gasoline in my car. I actually like this colour, you know. It's got quite a pleasant colour. I don't think it fits on the car necessarily, but well, I don't think this car should be like a nice sort of real pretty colour, should it? It needs to be a bit of a mingy colour like this. You know what it actually reminds me of? Like, it's like that council green that was around years ago. Everybody's style had that sort of blown wallpaper, like with the little sort of circular sort of... I always called it mushy peas. If you haven't seen it, you probably won't know, but if it's something you've seen, you know, if you're sort of my age or a bit older and you grew up in like council housing and stuff, you will have seen the wallpaper, I mean, and people used to usually put it on the stairway ceiling for some reason and paint it a green that's quite similar to this car, just not shiny. I don't really know why, but yeah, there was that, and there was that dodgy sort of terracotta colour as well. People used to paint the pipes in the fucking bog room that colour for some reason. They make these decisions, it just seems to be how people work. I mean, you know, on my street, most of the houses you catch glimpses inside, they have the same colour scheme, you know, they had the same blue and the same shit purple. And now everybody's starting to paint literally everything that weird plastic grey colour. It's really ugly. And what gets me, when you paint wood, it's like, why would you, especially that colour, like, why do you want wood to look like, you know, like 80s fucking PVC waste pipe? Like, I don't understand. That's really what that colour reminds me of. Like, you know, a lot of the waste pipe back then was like the same grey colour as that. So that belongs like under the sink. I would never use it. It's push fit shit. I only use solvent weld. Now you see, there's a little bit of that shows you take pride in your work when you use solvent weld. It shows you're confident. Because if you make a mistake with solvent weld, you can't fix it. Like, you know, once you connect the pieces together, you have maybe a split second in which you can get them apart again, but the solvent takes effect very quickly and it will stick together and there's nothing you can do. And some people really struggle with it, but the thing is, the people who struggle with it tend to be the ones who don't, like, file the bars off and chamfer the ends of the pipe. They even make a specialised tool, so you can do this in seconds. I just use an engineer's file or a Stanley knife to do it, but, you know, I've never, even with the big stuff, you know, people, oh no, you did the 4-inch stuff, it's really hard to do with solvent weld, you know, it's so difficult to fit together in time, and it's difficult to push it in, you need a rubber mallet and all this shit. I've never had a problem with it. And I can only think it's because I cut the fucking thing straight and I removed bars and chamfer the end. And it just... And when you first push it in, the solvent actually kind of acts like a lubricant, so it slides in real easily. Like, only for a split second, but you don't shove it that much farther in with the 4-inch than you do with, like, the like inch and a half, you know, that we would use like under the sink. So it isn't really any harder. Like, yeah, you got to be precise with it, because I guess you could like crook it on an angle a little bit, but again, if you chamfered the ends, it's, you know, it's going to guide itself in pretty much, and you'll get a better seal at the end as well, because at the end of the fitting, the socket that the pipe goes in has a slight taper at the end, and so where you've chamfered would actually butt into that, and it will, you know, you'll get a much better connection. Plus the fact you don't get silt build up, and we don't use solvent weld to like run water supply here. I've seen them do it in the United States, but we don't do that in this country. But you know, even with the copper pipe, you know, that you would solder together, you should really remove the bars, because you're probably not going to get silt in the water supply. You know, you will get turbulence, and then you start getting things like pinhole leaks happening. You know, water actually does have friction to it. Like I say, waste pipe, the bars, if you leave them in, will act kind of like a strainer of sorts. This engine really does use a lot of oil, and so all the silt will just get stuck in there, and it'll build up and build up, and then the water flow is going to be reduced. It might block up eventually. It might smell bad. Oh crap. I think I've just dislodged my hood. We did. Wow, this is steep. I can't stand on this. Stand on the car. Sorry, car. I will do the best I can. Oh dear. I may have made a dreadful mistake here. That's all I can think to do. No. It's destroying my car. We lost hood caps. Oh jeez. Man. What a shit start. Lose anything else? Do we lose bumpers? No. Do we lose visors? No. Mirrors are still on. I'm sleeping the night off. Fuck this. Do you realise with the battery light coming on and shit, if he ever does implement electrics, this would probably cause the car like to fail like by the time you wake up. You're going to have to turn the engine off when sleeping. God, that would be pretty nasty, actually. That would be really nasty. Still, temperature's low now, so that's good. It does run hot, this car, I think. And it probably doesn't help that we're putting this rather inefficient engine in it. I doubt the original engine was very efficient either, but still. I did not see that. Honestly, I did not see that. Where did that come from? Did that spawn in front of me? Ah, crap. I can hear crickets. You're not going nighttime again, game. If you go nighttime again, then I'm not even going to bother playing. I think we've lost the rear view mirror. I don't think we're getting that back. It's a generic part. I'm not going to lose sleep over trying to find that. What a fucking shit show. There it is. Fuck's sake. Man, these are well crusted, aren't they? Wouldn't move them. Okay, where's this one come off of? Well, if I'm missing anything else, I don't know where it is. We still have a radio. Still have doors and everything. Yeah, let's leave that one down for our passengers. There we go. Right. Shut the door. Adjust the mirrors a little bit. Is this door not shut right, or... problem if it rains. Dear me. Yeah, tolerances were not good when they built these. But that's alright. Just ignore it. Yeah, it seems about right for this car, doesn't it? Again, it's not exactly a high quality car, it's an old communist car. I'll spell it with a K to make it cool. You know, and communists kind of built pretty rubbish things sometimes, and they built some good things, but yeah, they built a lot of rubbish things. They really did. I mean, I guess they didn't have any fucking money, so, and were cut off from a lot of the world. I guess it was build it this way or not at all, right? What do you think the waiting list was for one of these cars? 10 years? If not longer. Must have been something like that. I swear, I'm not sure now, but I'm sure it worked like that. It was something like that in those countries, you know. You couldn't just go and buy a car, and there weren't enough of them. You had a thing where you'd put your name down, and then when the car became available in like 10 years time, then you know, if you had the money, you could get the car, or else you'd, like, you know, oh no, I can't, and then you'd go back on the list and someone else would get the car. Seems pretty shitty to me, I must say. I mean, it's a problem here, though, isn't it? Because they say these things, and this is when people get really mad now, because people have to fucking be one thing or the other. Like, you know, it's to the extremes, isn't it? So it's like, so you don't like something communism did, well, therefore you must be like, you know, extremely capitalist, and therefore evil or something. I mean, I'm not saying one's more evil than the other or what. I think both have done pretty shit things, but, you know, it doesn't work that way. Just because I don't like shit that one did doesn't mean that I like everything the other one did. It's pretty funny, because out of the people who behave like this, usually the ones who go on about all this non-binary gender stuff. And, like, you know, yeah, everything with them seems to be a binary. If you either are this or you're not, and if you're not the same as like me, then I hate you. It's like, who is this? Like, who cares? Who gives a fuck? Man, this shit's boring. I get so fucking tired of everywhere you look. It's just political this, political that. It's like, I'm tired of it. I just don't care. I don't care. I just want to drive my car around in a fucking desert, and fucking that's it. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. This is part 22. This poor car has like 3 parts left before we're probably going to be getting rid of it. I'm still tempted to take it another couple of parts. Alright, we're going uphill. It's not that fast, you know. It's slow. It handles like crap. It looks pretty ugly. It probably smells pretty bad. It doesn't sound very good, and that's with this engine. And I guess it's technically a better engine. You know, it rides too low, it smashes into the floor constantly. It's really hard to avoid rocks because the steering's like really sort of, it just roams where it wants to. It's not quite Mario Kart on the SNES levels, but it's still pretty bad. Mario Kart on the SNES, that game's awful. I don't know how anyone would like that game. It's just trash. It's one of them games where a lot of people said they like it because some YouTube guy said it was good and they've never played it. It's like Doom, like that, you know. Doom's like that on the PC. But like your fucking Mario Kart, the controls are so bad. I swear the PAL version's worse. But like, it's unusual because the PAL version of stuff's usually actually better. You know, there seems to be this growing hatred of PAL, and I think that's pretty stupid because it's like, well, quite often the PAL version of things was released later, so they patch a lot of problems out. And, you know, the game quite often actually runs better. You give me, 60 hertz, 60 hertz. Like, none of these games will run at anywhere near 60 frames a second. You know, a lot of them will barely run at fucking 20. So who cares? You know, I'll take my better colours and my fucking higher resolution and my it came out 2 fucking years later. They've patched like, a lot of problems out. In some cases, a PAL version actually runs smoother. Mario Kart, though, that just runs shit, and the steering's ass backwards. Like, say if you tap left, the car actually strafes right. It's just fucking awful. The game is terrible. I don't know how Nintendo ever released that. Especially not when they'd already made F-Zero, which is just a better game. It's right, it doesn't have multiplayer, but I don't care. I don't play games to be around people. I play them in part to get away from people. I don't like people. You know, maybe I don't care that much if F-Zero doesn't have multiplayer. It's a better game, it handles better, it has better music in it. You know, Koji Kondo wrote some really good music, but when he dropped the ball, he did so massively, and I feel like Mario Kart's actually one of them examples. I feel like he just didn't like the game, or something, or he was rushed. Like, there's all kinds of wonky, off-key shit in there and stuff where he's just playing bum notes. It's like, well... The guy just obviously did not care about this project. Like, he obviously just didn't give a fuck when he was working on the music for this one. Well, we all have that. Mr. Brimble's pretty funny. He used to do Amiga games and shit. And his music had a massive drop in quality. When you listen to something like, Project X on the Amiga, you can hear he put a lot of work in there. And I think he just didn't like games with cars in them. Because, like, you listen to the music in Street Racer and it's really lazy. I remember sitting there with my friend he played the music from the game. Like, on his laptop, and I learned every single one. It took me about 15 minutes, because it's so fucking half-assed and lazy, the soundtrack to that game. Like, the only sort of decent bit of music is the one he stole, like, 633 Squadron, and that's in all versions of the game with different composers, which makes me wonder which one of them actually transcribed it. And then in Driver, his music was pretty bad, and then in Driver 2, it was even worse. But the guy can still make good music and other stuff, so I just think Brimble doesn't like driving games or something. Get him to write some music for this to see how bad it sounds. You know, it's going to be fucking awful, won't it? But he seems to always end up being put on car games. I mean, didn't he do one of the Sonic racing games on, like, some shitty Nintendo handheld? Nintendo shouldn't make handhelds. They've never been any good at it. Like, it fascinates me how they're like the handheld company, and yet they're the worst at doing it. Like, nearly every other handheld that's ever been around has been way better than anything Nintendo built. It's like, look at the Game Gear. It was like having a Master System that you could carry around with you. It was actually comfortable to use. It didn't look like shit. It had colour fucking display. It had better sound on it. You know, the fucking Game Boy I just thought was broken, like, every time I heard that. Look at the fucking Nomad. The fucking Sega Nomad was like a Mega Drive you could carry. It even took the same cartridges. Like, fucking Sega, they should have kept making handhelds. They really should. Like, when they left the console industry, they should have just kept making handhelds. Like, I reckon they'd actually have been onto something there. I don't think they'd have got anywhere, because I still think the industry had some kind of subversion in the early 2000s, and I think they needed Sega out of it. just because Sega were like forcing them to go forwards all the time. Sega are always the ones who would try to innovate and not necessarily succeed, but it forced everyone else to do it. Look how much everything stagnated when they were gone. Like, how long did that generation after? Like, you know, once the PS2 and Dreamcast and Xbox and that were gone, you had that other generation. Was it the 7th generation? Just seemed to last forever. And that was the first one that Sega wasn't in. And you know, that would have come about and ended a lot faster if they were still there, because they'd have been like, right, this is shit now, the technology's a lot better. But no, instead we end up with an industry that just fucking dragged its heels, and it was a total jerk for years of like just how much better PCs were than consoles and shit, because the consoles just hadn't moved in too long, and they were fucking nerfing the shit out of PC games because of the fucking consoles. I mean, it's not like I was playing any of the games by then, they were all shit, but it was still pretty crappy to see. You know, if even I, someone who wasn't playing these games, could see what was going on, then do you mean to tell me that, like, the average idiot isn't going to notice as well? You know, surely they are. But who cares, right? Because it's an industry that's owned by marketing firms now. They're all basically just marketing firms that own everything. It's ridiculous. Because I understand people who love Valve. Like, Valve have never really made anything. And people always just, oh, Half-Life. Half-Life was a carrot on a stick. It's just Quake with like a laboratory and desert skin slapped on the top. But the story, I don't care. Nobody paid the slightest bit of attention to that shit. Nobody cared. But it was just enough for them to dangle a carrot and get people on their fucking marketing platform, which, as you've seen, this game uses, and I hate it for it. I really do hate that shit. Like, if there's one thing I hate, it's fucking marketing companies. I hate ads, you know? Like, if you love Valve, uninstall your ad blocker. Like, because those are the same sorts of companies. They're on the same principle. They're just trying to sell you other people's things. So why not have ads all over your browser? Like, you know, all over their web pages. I mean, sure, the page will probably time out and not load. But that's alright, so it means your browser's going to perform like Steam now. You know, it'll perform like a Valve product. You know, people always gave EA shit. It's like, well, EA actually made computer games at some point in the past. Yeah, they are shit, but they've actually delivered on games, like, consistently for years. I don't know if they do now. Probably not. Now it's probably all just buy our stupid JPEGs, but they at least had a history of producing games for systems, and Valve does not. Last thing I would ever want to do is give money to a marketing firm. I just can't stand scummy fucking companies like that. I just don't. I don't like them. I won't support them. Now, buying this game, it was a pittance amount, so I'd imagine Valve only got a few pennies out of it, so it's not such a big deal. If the game's ever finished, I will break it free of Steam. A lot of the performance issues I have actually come from Steam eating a lot of my CPU up just to run in the background. I mean, shit, can you remember when I played like Duke Nukem Forever on my PC? And like, I opened like the Steam browser thing, and it was like, oh yeah, hello 1 frame a second. I mean, it's just basically Chrome, so how did they fuck it up so bad? And that's what I was on about before with the, you know, the whole fucking shoving you in a fucking box that you want one side of the argument or the other. It's, oh, you use Google Chrome, you must like Google. No, I can't stand Google, but unfortunately all the browsers are shite now and Google Chrome works best for me. Like Firefox doesn't work well for me. A lot of pages don't display properly in it, and probably because nobody writes web pages for fucking Firefox. They write them all for Chrome. It's the same reason I used to use Internet Explorer, because plenty of shit used to work in Internet Explorer that didn't work in any other browser, because everybody was making pages for Internet Explorer. It's sort of self-perpetuating. It was the most common browser, so people made more pages for it, which made more people use that browser. I never liked Internet Explorer as such. I liked the fact that it did its job for me, and that was it. I had no attachment to it, and it's the same with Chrome. If all the web pages stop working well in Chrome and start to work well in... Well, Opera's not really a thing anymore. That's just reskinned fucking something now. That performs really bad for some reason. Like, they should have just kept going with the Presto engine. It had JPEG problems. I don't remember the specifics now, I just remember it having problems displaying some JPEGs, but it was a good browser, Opera. It was fast, you know. But yeah, sure, if one of the other browsers started working better than Chrome, for me, I'd ditch Chrome in an instant. I have no fucking attachment to it, it's a tool. It's a tool I don't care for, it's there to do a fucking job, and at the moment, it does the job better than the other ones for me. Oh, you use Windows and refuse to, like, use Linux, so you must be a Microsoft fanboy. No, I don't like Microsoft. I think it's a shit company. I think it does shit things. I don't even like Windows. I think Windows is fucking terrible. It's fucking awful. But people always, like, you know, forget about the things that you complain about. You know, they conveniently ignore the fact that I've done nothing but bash on the networking stack that it has from Windows NT that has bugs that are over 30 years old now and make it very slow. 3 megs a second if you're lucky on gigabit Ethernet, usually 150k a second because of a fucking, like, session timeout bug, which is really, really old. It's nearly as old as I am, this bug, and it's still there. I complain about the user interface. It's got consistently worse ever since Windows 2000, really. And Windows ME was designed to fail purely to get people to go over to fucking Windows NT, which isn't fit for purpose as a general purpose operating system. It's no good for multimedia tasks, which is what I use my machine for, and in part that's because of the stupid file system it uses, which is slow and inefficient and crap, and you have to leave 15% of the hard drive free at all times for certain things to work, which is absolutely insane because hard drives are huge now. You know, 16 terabyte volume, what is 15% of that? You know? You want to do the math on that? How many fucking, like, gigabytes of space that is wasted? Like, out of all the hundreds and hundreds of dollars I paid for these hard drives, and I can't even use a huge chunk of it. It's ridiculous. No, I don't like Windows. I think it's fucking shite. But I have to use Windows because it's what all my tools work in. And quite often there is no alternative tool over in Linux land, or if there is, it's worse. So at the moment, Windows is the best tool for the job. Now, if all I wanted to do was look at furry porn and, like, you know, tell the world how great I am and post screenshots of an empty desktop with a command window open, then sure, I'd use fucking Linux in an instant because it's probably fine for that. I mean, I don't know if my PC's fast enough to run it, but, you know, it always performs bad for me, Linux. Every time I've been there, it's slow. I remember Suzy used to take like a good 15 minutes or so to start up on my K7. When I've used like Ubuntu and stuff, like, to try and do certain things, which just never works out, so I don't bother anymore. It takes a long time to get anything done. You know, it's sort of like running Windows XP on one of those early Intel GMAs is what it reminds me of, where you could see the start menu drawing in slowly. And Linux, every distro always shoots itself in the foot, because every time Microsoft makes a monumental cock-up, they go, oh, this is Linux's time to shine. And then what do? They go in and fiddle with the interface and ruin it even further. Or they just copy the mistake Microsoft made, and it's like, well, that seems a bit stupid. And what I still don't get is why everybody copies fucking Apple. Like, Apple has less than 3% of the market, so why the fuck would you want to copy them? They're a bunch of fucking losers. Like, they have hardly any of the market. They're tiny. They're brilliant at making themselves look big, because you see their name all over the place. But they're a dinky little company. Like, you know, they're always in news and stuff. Shouldn't Acer be in the news? They have way more of the market. Way more of the market than Apple. And they're not even the biggest player. How about Dell and like Lenovo? They're fucking massive. I mean, imagine that. Imagine being a company that's getting beaten by fucking Acer. You know, how would you feel? Like, if you owned a company that made similar hardware, that you were in kind of the same sector as fucking Acer, and you were losing to fucking Acer. Like, Acer consistently had better sales than you. They had more success and more money than you, most likely. You know, I'd just end it. I would. I'd just know. I'm going to leave this job. In fact, fuck it. Let's just close the company. Like, this company's shit. Like, why are we even keeping it open? We can't sell things at a decent price because we don't know what we're doing. Our hardware's unreliable now anyway. It's not well built anymore, because there was always that argument for some of Apple's stuff in certain eras, like, well, the quality's good, and then some of the times it was. You know, that's gone. So why the fuck you want to copy them? Why do you want to copy the fucking loser? If I was going to make hardware, I'd do it my own way, but if I was going to copy somebody, like, say I want to build laptops, I mean, oh, well, fuck off, we'll just copy off Lenovo. Lenovo sells fucking loads of them. I've only got nearly like 50% of the fucking laptop market or something. Yeah, they seem to know what they're doing. They're selling loads of products. Let's, you know, if we're going to copy off somebody, let's copy them. They'll probably get like way more fucking sales, because that's a successful product. The Apple thing over there, nah, they have like hardly any of the market. I don't think we want to copy them. They seem to be like, you know, a bit shit at selling things. So, nah, let's not copy those. Yeah, they've took that feature off. They've put this stupid thing on. It doesn't seem to be selling many units for them. I don't think we should copy off those. You know, we'll go and copy off someone else. Amazing, isn't it? I think Apple has a bigger market share with phones, but even then, I don't think they're really that dominant. Well, you wouldn't think, but it's funny how like everyone who owns an iPhone will tell you very quickly they own one. But I'm fairly certain Android phones vastly outweigh like iPhones. But you know, I don't feel the need to announce that I own like an Alcatel phone. You know, I don't think it matters. It's just I own a phone. Like, it mostly does what I want it to do, and that's all I really care about. You know, I'm not paying for a brand name. You know, you could say, like, because of the branding thing, Apple was like the added ass of like electronics or something, but it really isn't, because Adidas actually sell a lot of things, unlike Apple. So I'm not so sure on that one. We still haven't found a diner. The game just isn't giving us much in the way of cleaning products, is it? I wonder how far we've gone. Because, I mean, we're coming up on time. I have about 10 minutes before I've got to fuck off out of here. Do I want to stop at that? Nah, because I don't really need fuel or anything. I might have eaten a little bit of water, but not enough that I'm concerned. Yeah, it's weird. I don't like what became of the industry and stuff. But again, you see, now I've got on an Apple rent. Who's to bet somebody's halfway through writing a comment complaining about how I hate Apple, I'm a Microsoft fanboy. You know, so... Nah, not really. I'll tell you what, if Apple came out tomorrow and went, hey, we've built this this PC, like, we'll call it a PC. I guess it wouldn't be, because it's not like IBM compatible anymore or whatever. But, you know, we've built this machine, like, it has all this video capture stuff. It's, like, really good at rendering video as well, like encoding. It doesn't take 4 hours to do, like, you know, just 45 minutes encoding of, like, H.264, because our operating system doesn't artificially cripple it. You know, the interface is really easy to use. And it's not like, you know, at some inflated price that it's not worth, you know. If they made a machine that did exactly, like, you know, what I wanted to, better than this Windows machine, and it wasn't a silly price, I would totally go out and buy one tomorrow. Like, I would want to go and play with it in the shop. But if I looked at it and concluded, hey, you know what, this does the job a lot better than what I have, like, this is the best fucking tool for the job, and it's in my price range, I would sure as shit buy one. And I've given serious consideration to it at one point. I nearly ended up on an Apple in this when I got this Xeon. Like, I was actually looking at them. Because I was like, yeah, this PC hardware's starting to go a little bit dodgy now, and I don't like what they're doing with the operating system. And so I was looking at Mac systems. Unfortunately, they started discontinuing them, or they were really old, they hadn't been updated in a long time, and so the hardware was really, really sort of dated. And then they came out and started making absolute rubbish. And so it was like, well, we'll be staying on Windows then. You know, I was almost, you know, I was even giving consideration to learning a different video editing suite and stuff, which I don't like doing. I'm stubborn. I don't like changing the software I use, and I did consider it. But unfortunately, the hardware started to not be quite as good. And again, it was just a case of, no, I can get a better PC for less money, and I can do the job better with that. I make fun of people who use different stuff, but, you know, I'm not doing it hatefully. I'm doing it more in jest, you know. It's like, oh look, I can't upgrade that feature. It must be coming out in sympathy with an Apple or something, you know. It's that sort of thing. Now, I've always said, you know, that I don't really care that much what you want to use. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, if it's the best tool to get the job done, like, for that particular person, then it's the right one. And it's like, say you want to buy a pair of shoes, you know. Do you want to get the same fucking shoes I have? No, because they're probably not going to fit you too good. I mean, like, size 14 shoes. How many people have that fucking shoe size? It can't be that many, because I can't fucking find the damn things anywhere. They're not easy to find, like, shoes in that size. When you do, you don't have much choice. Do you want to wear these? No, you fucking don't. They're horrible. They're probably too fucking big for you. They might be too small for you. Most people's shoes are too small for me. I don't want to wear them and be uncomfortable. So why should I want the same PC as you? Why should, you know, we both vote for the same fucking puppets of power that are going to stand on the telly and try telling everyone what to do? Why would I want to drink the same fucking cola you do? You know, who gives a fuck? Oh, you like the taste of Coca-Cola better? Oh, that's fine. I like the taste of Pepsi better. It really cares what difference it make. I mean, you know, there are times when there's a fine line between what's objective and subjective sometimes. But, you know, of course there are cases where something is objectively worse, you know, and that's just the thing. But people get mad at you for that, when it is something objective. Like, what I've never understood, like, you know, we had this in the vintage PC community where people get annoyed because I'll say something's rubbish because it doesn't work. And it's like, well, it doesn't work, so what am I supposed to say? And a lot of my stuff comes, like, you know, I tend to buy things that are broken anyway to try and save money, and it generally works. But occasionally I get something that doesn't, and sometimes it's something that so clearly didn't work right even when it was new. You know, things like that dumb fucking Dolce machine I had. Like, I'm not going to lie and say it's good. A spade's a fucking spade. It's no good, you know. Well, yesterday, I got an engine. It's brand new, but out of the box it's fucking seized. Oh, you're complaining for no reason. It's like, I've just spent the equivalent of 2 weeks' groceries on a fucking engine that doesn't work. It was sold as working. Of course I'm gonna, like, not be happy about it. Oh no, I guess I'm supposed to be overjoyed that I just spent money on a pile of scrap metal. You know? Yeah, oh great. Because it ain't worth that much as scrap metal. And I can't use it, it doesn't do anything, does it? If it's not working, then, you know, it's a tool. I bought it to do a job, and it's not going to do that job. Like, what is with people? People don't live in reality. And it's like they take pride in actively ignoring it. Like, I'm sorry, things don't go great all the time, and that is just reality, and that's fine. Because, like, you know, you use that, and you look at when things do go well, and you're like, oh, well, at least it didn't go shit. That was pretty good. And if it does go shit, why has it gone shit? Can I learn something from this? Can I improve something based on this? Maybe, maybe not. But it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to get hung up on it. Like, does it really matter that much? No, it probably doesn't. Yeah, it's cost me money. I'm not going to get it back. But I just don't buy from that distributor again. And, you know, well, whatever. It's money. What does it matter? I don't get to keep it when I'm dead, so I might as well use it anyway while I'm here, hadn't I? You know, it's all just arbitrary anyway. Like, who gives a fuck? You win some, you lose some. Plus, now I know, like, what is a failure mode in the manufacturing of that particular thing. And so now I can look for it. You know, that's the first time I've experienced that. So now, if I want to deal with this contraption again, I can look for telltale signs of this failure mode. You know, it's like, well, the casting is dodgy in that particular way, so it probably has that issue, and I won't get that one, I'll get that other one. And so, odds are, probably won't run into that problem again, because now I've learnt something. Yeah, it's small. It's a small thing, you know, it's not a big thing that we learnt, but we learnt something. Hey, a car. It's another one like mine. It just somehow doesn't have the same vibe as, I mean, look at them. They're twins, you know, but you wouldn't know it, would you? This one don't fucking start. What does it have in it? It's got empty, is what it's got. Empty, and that's got empty. Jeez. Yeah, it ain't in good shape. Well, I guess I'll do a manual save and then I'll get out of here. It's a very oily two-stroke mixer. I don't even think you'd run most two-strokes. Mine would run on it, actually. I've run about that kind of ratio before. It would actually run on that, believe it or not. Not well, but it would do it. Right, well. Am I treason? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later after I do a manual save. What are we to 19 now? I know this is like part 23, isn't it? Something like year 22, I don't remember. Who cares? We started at 10:10. We are at 1125. Really? 1054. It's like 70 kilometres. Good God, this car knocks out the fucking distance like it's nothing. Oh well. Ta-ta.